Leaving school, my A-levels in 1993, I was going on a downward spiral in terms of behavior and in terms of attitude as a person, with a few dreadlocks on my head, an earring, the jeans that had just started were baggy jeans then. The kind of friends I was hanging around were just not leading me in the way that God wanted me to go into, but I didn't know that. And as a result of that, a very elderly white priest said, "Do you want to find your purpose in life?" I have no idea why he was asking me that question. I thought I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I was just waiting for my A-levels, then I could go to university and get a job like everybody else does and thinks is the way life should be. And so before even my results came, he sent me to an organization called Youth with a Mission, which is a Christian organization that does volunteer, but also helps young people find their purpose and destiny in life. And for the next 7 years, I was involved with that organization as a volunteer. So I did get to do my schooling while I was in that organization, but I served in Malawi, in Zambia, and here in Zimbabwe. Going into different communities, meeting different people, being responsible for different aspects of different communities. I remember serving in Makuti, in the farming areas. At that moment, the farmers who owned the farms were struggling with their workers who, when they got paid, would not come back to work until the pay was finished. And I'm told that hasn't changed. It's still happening in communities, and not only in farming communities, but even in our residential communities where we stay. There are still people, when they get their pay, only come back when the pay is finished. So the farmers were asking us to talk morality, to talk responsibility to their employees. And you can't talk and teach morality. You have to live it and you have to show it. So we had to work like they worked. So we started going into the fields. We started doing what they were doing. And when we were given money, we didn't disappear like they would disappear. And from that, they started seeing a difference in a way of being responsible. After my stint with the church and with the missions field, I joined an organization called the Just Children Foundation. Right around about 2006, 07, 08, when the economy was really taking a hit from all kinds of angles, one of the very visible experiences that the nation experienced was the issue of children on the streets. We like to call them street children in quotes. They are children who are living on the streets. They are not street children because no street has ever given birth to a child. Those children belong to a mother and to a father and to a community somewhere. And that was the essence in which we served at the Just Children Foundation, offering a halfway house and providing bridging school, but most importantly, developing an ethos of reunification of those children. I remember in my 6-7 years at Just Children Foundation, we were able to reunite 6,500 children with their families from the streets, with a 95% success rate. Today, I meet some of those children who used to live on the streets, and they're now responsible parents, and they're responsible human beings in our society. Did we do all that we could do? No. Could we have done more? Yes. Could we have done better? Yes. But that's the story, I believe, of every essence of serving in a community. It took people with a heart, an attitude, and a mind to serve another person to be able to realize those kinds of results. I joined High Life Foundation with the very same essence and emphasis. My job was programs manager. Develop training material, training protocols for the children who were benefiting from the scholarship that High Life Foundation was giving. At that stage, 46,000 children were on the scholarship. To date, the scholarship has served and empowered over 350,000 young people giving them an opportunity to an education, to realize their dreams and pursue their ambitions. Those children are in every sphere of influence. I'm glad to say some are in government, some are in politics, some have come back to the organization and giving up, like Tinashe. And if you were to see them in High Life Foundation right now, we have 10 district offices. And I believe 90% of those offices are managed by those who came through the scholarship process. And that is a result, and that is evident that when you serve and when you give somebody an opportunity that they may never have gotten, they're going to amount and they're going to realize their purpose in life. So as you're out there and you're serving and you're volunteering, you just don't know the door, the road, or the bridge you are building. The person you serve today, by giving of yourself, tomorrow may be the one who transforms the community of Chimanimani. But if you do not provide that opportunity, then who is going to do it? Perhaps they may never get that opportunity. Maybe when you do your training, sometimes you look and you say, this is not amounting to anything. Let me tell you what, when you teach values, it's not evident tomorrow. Just as we plant groundnuts today, we don't harvest tomorrow. It takes a whole season for those groundnuts to multiply. What seed you plant today is going to yield and bring a harvest, I believe, 1,000-fold. This day that we are commemorating and celebrating today helps us to understand the spirit of giving ourselves for the sake of others. When an earthquake destroys homes, who responds? Volunteers. When there is a flood, who responds? Volunteers. When there's a moral issue to be dealt with in community like we are facing today, of drug and alcohol abuse, of broken families, of loneliness, who responds? It is volunteers. At High Life Foundation, we call this human impulse. The thing that we believe God has instilled in each and every one of us. When we see a need, we respond. We respond without question. We respond without resolve. We respond immediately because it could mean a life. We have done that in education. We're doing that in health. When a story came out that a number of children had died at Harare Hospital, there and there we formulated global health. And now global health has trained thousands and thousands of health workers on how to respond when a pregnant woman walks into a hospital. An exciting story came when we were in Bulawayo 2 weeks ago. And a lady had come. She was not quite sure whether she was pregnant or not, but she was actually in her 8th month of pregnancy. Guess who saved that lady? The security guard. He knew the 3 questions to ask, and he asked those questions, and he said, this woman needs to go straight into the emergency room. He rose the alarm, and that woman delivered a healthy baby. She's safe, she's alive, the baby's safe and alive because of that response. He didn't say, that's not my job. He didn't say there's no nurse on duty. He didn't say a doctor is needed, but the human impulse in him, taking into consideration the training that he had received, he was able to respond appropriately. And so as you train volunteers, as you train different people in the community, guess what? You are saving lives. We're also doing it in agriculture. There's a buzzing word right now, right from the presidium to the lowest peasant farmer, practice from flat farming. Now as an organization, we actually motivated all the 170 of us to go and find land, because when you want land, you can find it. Each and every one of us comes from a community somewhere. And if you go to where you are supposed to come from or do come from, speak to your chief. Something must come out. And so we say to our staff, do the same. Go ahead and get it from Vuza plot. We gave them implements, we gave them seed, and they were able to do that. And today I can tell you that we have trained over 40,000 farmers across the nation. working in partnership with our government, which is also driving this very important aspect of work. And these people today are working on 7,000 different plots across the nation. And there are plenty more that they are bringing and working on as a community. And this just shows that when you have the human impulse and you give yourself to volunteer, you can certainly make a difference in your generation. And that is what we're doing in Higher Foundation. To end, what does this all lead us to? Servant leadership. We ought to serve one another. For a long time, there's been a mindset that volunteers are the worst paid people and the least remunerated people. And it has actually become a culture, which we actually need to be thinking about. How do we get rid of that? So that when a volunteer volunteers, they are adequately remunerated for the services which they're given. Of course, when you look at the definition of the word itself, it talks about giving yourself for a non-monetary benefit. But I think we're in a season where we need to begin to think and see the importance of volunteers and begin to really critically think of ourselves at how do we reward these men and women who give themselves selflessly. It's not one organization that can do it. It's not one person who can do it. But I think it takes a concerted effort. And for me, this is my plea to our dear government, who are going to speak after I have spoken. I hope they won't choke. But it takes concerted effort. And there's definitely work that we can continue to do to speak to one another, to talk to one another, and come up with solidified collaborative solution. Servant leaders do not seek to be famous or to be the center of attraction. They're humble, they understand the situation, they understand the power of collective application of self and collaboration. They understand the power of partnership. And there's a famous saying says, if you want to go far, go with others. If you want to go fast, go by yourself. As I conclude today, I'm inspired by the individuals who have selflessly served others. And I believe that our country is in a better place and a better position because of all your hard work. May God bless you and may He give you strength to continue to serve communities. Thank you very much.